Okay, it is a very bright and very warm spring day, and I'm going to be melting down some cans. So for a while now, I've been looking to fire up the foundry, which I have set up here, and it's just a great way to recycle aluminum cans of any sort, maybe even aluminum foil, and you don't really get a whole lot out of each individual one, but if you know they're piling up, or you can go get donations from other people, you can get a fair bit, and that's what I'm going to be doing today, is just melting down cans. So I'll show you my setup, and we'll get going. So it's really bright out today, and this thermal protective layer is very reflective, so it's reflecting the light and the heat, and it's just kind of a pain, but fortunately it's kind of at a decent angle. This tightened onto the propane tank. Let's get it finger tight. And this will insert into the foundry. Will be its propane supply and its air supply. Okay. Hopefully there's no leak in the propane here. This should hopefully blow the house up. There we go. That is good flame. I'm going to put a test can in here. It's not up to temperature yet, but this might be an indicator when it starts to melt. Look through the top there, kind of monitor its progress. There's steam coming off of that aluminum. It's evaporating the liquids that are still in there. So I'll just let it go. So it's been probably 5 minutes since I first lit it, and the can that I put in there is kind of a caramel brown, so it's heating up just a little bit slowly. I've heard that it takes about 15 minutes to get this thing up to temperature. We're looking to get it up to 1221 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the melting point of aluminum, and yeah, so just letting it continue to sit. Constantly adjusting the air, trying to see what's the optimal air intake. Yeah, it's really getting black now. Now, while I'm doing this, I should say that I have a fire extinguisher and hose on standby, and there's also a fan underneath the camera that is helping to blow any fumes outwards, and obviously this is already a well-ventilated area. So do not do this in confined spaces. Obviously the propane fumes and the fumes from the melted aluminum are hazardous, and you'll want to be wearing a respirator. I also have a pair of thick gloves and an apron, which will help mitigate the heat, although at this distance it's not really a factor. Tongs do come in handy. I'd rather not, even with the gloves, touch the lid or any other part of the foundry with my hands. And so yeah, I'll be using these to open up the lid and put in new cans. So just opening that up, I can really feel the heat coming off of it. Still just blackened, but I think it's well on its way to melting. It's nice though, because this is well insulated, and the crucible is on top of a brick, so it's not going to burn a hole through the bottom either. Okay, the can is starting to lose its shape. And I'm going to try to get a closer shot once this thing starts melting. Okay, looks like it's about ready. Pardon the transition here. There we go. And probably start to poke it down and press it. Oh yeah, look at that. It's totally lost all structure. There we go. I find it funny that I'm sweating more due to the hot weather than the 1200-degree furnace in front of me. Now I want this to be a pool of molten aluminum before I put in the next can. That molten aluminum is going to help kickstart the melting of the next one I put in, and so on and so forth. Eventually it's going to have enough buildup of slag that I'm going to need to fish that out, and that's what the metal bucket's for. It's just the waste slag receptacle. Well, it's hot enough that it's lost its structure, but not hot enough that it's actually melted. Well, it's starting to get shiny. Separating the paint from the aluminum. Okay. It's not quite a puddle, but there is liquid in there. It's just not quite enough to really look liquid. So I'm going to put another couple cans in. Eventually it's going to go quick enough that it's just instantly going to start melting. You got a lot of flames coming out of that. It's cooking off the excess liquid. Paint. There's also a thin layer, I believe, of plastic so that the aluminum doesn't contaminate the drink. And in just a couple seconds, it is already completely melted, so I'm going to go into full production here. Alrighty. Let's see if we can watch this in real time. Oh, look at that. And it's starting to sag. If I pushed it down, it would just completely collapse. It's lost that much strength. just like that. There's another one. Probably got flames coming out the mouth there. I kind of wish the hole in the top was big enough to just put these cans in with the lid on, but I don't think we're losing enough heat to lower the temperature enough to the point where it's not going to melt anymore. Get that in there. Next can. If I had to guess, there's probably more slag than aluminum in here. We're gonna have to fish out a fair amount before we start pouring this into a mold. Casting an ingot. It's interesting how they just collapse into nothing. It's really fun. I haven't done this in quite a while. Push that down. This one's upside down. Yep, it's gonna pop like that. Got pressure building up inside the can. The only release is underneath. I think there's no gasoline in there. It could turn into a rocket. And that's why generally you want to have these things facing upright. Well, this is my first run with this, and it's working pretty well, I think. I have quite a few cans to get through, so it's good that I'm finally getting around to this. They were starting to pile up. I think after this one, I'm going to start scooping out some slag. See if we can separate that from the liquid aluminum.